Welcome to another episode of Inside Rangers Football. I'm your host, Brant Freeman. As always, joined by Rangers head coach Larry Hill. Smithson Valley is moving on to the region final for the first time since 2015 after a 31-13 win over Fulshear this past week. And to coach, again, these opportunities don't come by very often to make a playoff run like this. It's been a great one so far. Looking at the game from this past Friday, what impressed you about your team's play?
Well, I think just our resiliency that the players showed. You play good teams. That's all that's left. In our end of the bracket, there's never been any even bad first-round teams.
Mm-hmm.
We've played the first three opponents are guys who've won state championships or played for state championships or are capable of winning a state championship. So we've kind of been in the meat grinder, and I think our players have come to realize that every play is not going to work. Every defensive series is not going to go according to script, in spite of your best efforts throughout the week and in meetings and practices. And I thought our players have done a nice job of recognizing that and realizing this game's going 15 rounds, to use a boxing term. And we may not win every round, but we got to win enough rounds. And then when it's time to go make a run for it, we got to make the plays. So that impressed me more than anything. It wasn't our best offensive or defensive or special teams performance, but we made a few more plays than Fulshear did, and we're still playing.
You mentioned throughout the week, and this past week was kind of a different one in terms of routine. It was a holiday week, Thanksgiving itself on Thursday. The game kicked off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. What, if any, impact did that have on you going into the game?
Well, I thought our players handled that well. We expected to be here. We've practiced during Thanksgiving week plenty of times in our run here, and so we have templates. We have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday plan. I thought they handled that well. They handled the weather. It was inclement most of the week. Most of our practices were kind of sloppy, misty, cold. The game day was supposed to be, although we got a little bit of a break, didn't get wet after all. But, I thought our players, again, handled that well, knowing that's kind of how the weather is in late November and December. It tends to be a little cooler and tends to be wet and nasty. And they've handled that well. And, Fulshear was just what was advertised, but we stood up to them enough, made enough plays, and here we go.
Jumped out to a 21-0 lead against Fulshear this past Friday. And again, Fulshear, kind of a run-oriented offense. Tough for them to make up a deficit like that. How critical was it for you to start fast the way that you did?
Well, it's always critical to start fast if you can. Against good teams, that's not always possible, but we knew they wouldn't have. It was early enough. They weren't going to abandon their style of play. We had a couple of big throw-in catches, some big plays, and got up on them, but they, true to form, ground back, got a touchdown, and after half got another one. Next thing you know, they're within 8 points, and we had to go make some plays. But in the end, that 21-point burst at the beginning proved to be the difference.
You said it, Fulshear did find its way back into the game. It was 21-13 to the third quarter. You get that big play, the run from Chase Sedlick to kind of put you ahead again by 2 possessions.
Right.
Take us back to that play and how critical it was at the time.
Well, we had a drive going. We're down there in the 30-ish yard line, and we had a second medium, third and short type thing. And we sent the tailback one way and some of the line blocking one way and hit Chase on a quick hitter back the other way, hoping to make the first down, move the chains. And boy, pops it clean and scores untouched. We didn't necessarily expect that, but we're glad to get it. And, that made it a 16-point game, but still, with their way of scoring and going for 2 points, still a 2-possession game, even with that. I thought the drive, the next key was getting a stop, getting into the fourth quarter, a long drive, taking clock, and then that 43-yard field goal. Now it's a 3-possession game, and that made a huge difference.
Fulshear's offense somewhat similar to what Wagner does, and they can break off those big plays, and that's how they get their offense.
Yeah.
You really limited the explosives for Fulshear. They had that one big run, a 52-yarder that got the game down to an 8-point deficit. But beyond that, your defense really seemed to hold its own against that style of offense.
Yeah, and they had they can grind you, but then the explosives as well, and we beat them in explosive. I think we had 6, and we limited them to 2, and so that made a difference. And our run got them behind the chains a little bit, found themselves in some third and longs in that style of offense. They're not used to that. They're not necessarily geared to that. And when it was throw time, when everybody in the stadium knows you got to throw, 3rd and long, 4th and long, we were able to get some pressure and some big sacks.
Well, again, Smithson Valley 31-13 winners over Fulshear to move on to the region final. Plenty of big plays for the Rangers in the win. Coach Hill takes us through this week's Plays of the Week.
Let's go take a look. Our first play of the week is a defensive play. We're actually going to feature 2 defensive plays in these big plays, but the first is by David De Hoyos, senior do-it-all player for us, a safety by trade, but of course his return kicks, plays tailback, tremendous baseball player, he's a great all-around football player, but 22 tackles on the day the other day, and including this sack. Early in the ball game, you see David up there. He's kind of bluffing like, I'm covering over here. See, I'm a cover guy. Don't look at me. And the motion goes, and then they never see him coming off the edge. He blitzes off the edge. Quarterback's motioning away and is going to throw, and then he doesn't see David, and then he tries to spin out late. When he does, he gets him for a big sack on 3rd down and thwarts their drive. Just a great play from a great player who does so many things for our football team, including this big play. You see it from the rear. It kind of starts with their left tackle not being able to block David, but instead having to engage our defensive end on that side, McLean Garrett, who's noted with an arrow here. The play unfolds. McLean draws the block of the tackle, which takes his eyes off of David, and then David's able to slip in undetected on the backside. Quarterback sees it at the last minute. He's very elusive, has been able to spin out of these type of situations before, including our game. But as he does, David's able to corral him and get him, and just a huge play by a big-time player. Our next play of the week starts out as a routine play. This is our freshman wide receiver, Quentin Sampson, down here at the bottom of the screen. And it really is just a first down play on their end of the field designed to throw for 5-6 yards and get us a nice, comfortable 2nd down. Quentin turns it into something more than that. Our quarterback, Chase Senelick, unloads. Here's your catch. We're going to make 6 yards. They're going to converge on him and tackle him. Then the fun starts. He breaks 1 tackle. Then he breaks a 2nd tackle. And now he's off to the races. And right at the end, is able to break the 3rd tackle. So a routine short throw and catch turns into a big 37-yard catch and run. Just a great play by a 14-year-old freshman wide receiver. You see it from the rear as the play unfolds. It's just a quick get it out of your hand right now throw. There's your catch. He's got a little bit of outside leverage on those defenders, and then he breaks the tackle from the cornerback, and then the tackle from the safety, and then he's off down the sideline. And there's that last tackle broke, and a big play. Just, you got to have those to win games, and that was certainly a big one. And then a big sack here. This is 4th down. You can see they're on our end of the field. They're still a 2-score game. They've got a chance. They're certainly in the ball game early in the 4th quarter. A big stop is needed here on 4th and 5. We'll start with McLean Garrett, as we've done so many times this year. Senior defensive end, playing at a real high level. He's down here. They're going to go with a pass, a play-action pass. And McLean basically just runs by the tackle. He's out here trying to block him. You can see he's already got his foot around the corner. He's in the door. And he's the quarterback senses it, trying to run away from it. Our other defensive end at the top, Doug Lance, who's our running back / defensive end, is up the field. And Doug's going to head him off at the pass and not let him run away from Garrett. And when he pulls him up, like he's done, now Nine's got to turn and go back the other way. Garrett's able to corral him for a big sack. We stop him on 4th and 5, throw him for a 15-yard loss. Our offense has great field position, is able to go out and get the game-winning score. From the rear, here you go. Those are our 2 ends. On the right, you got Doug Lance. On the left, you got McLean, as we commented on earlier. There's McLean, already beat the block. He's honing in. Now I'm gonna run away from that. Well, there's Doug. No, you're not getting over here. You better turn around, go back the other way. And when you do, McLean's all over you. Just a great, really a great tandem there. Our 2 defensive ends making that play in what ended up being the game-winning drive. And those are our plays of the week.
And Coach, you highlighted a couple of sacks. Again, Fulshear wants to run the ball, but every now and then they want to kind of beat you over the top, lull you to sleep a little bit,
Right.
and then hit that big passing play. Your pass rush wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah, that was big. A lot of play action off their hard run fakes, which is what you would expect from them, and never really let the quarterback get to his spot. Pulled him up. And then our backside pressure got him each time. So those those were big plays.
And you also highlighted Quentin Sampson's big catch and run 37-yard touchdown. It's funny, high school football is not the NFL. You can't make a free agent acquisition in the middle of the year, but it kind of feels a little bit like that with Sampson. You call him up from the freshman team, you add him on to the varsity roster, and he's been a big addition for you.
Well, he has, just the ability to make a little something into a big something, and that was very indicative of that play. It's a first down throw, just a medium, 5-6 yard gain, stay ahead of the chains, and he breaks 3 tackles and goes into the end zone. That's hard to put a price on the value that does, and pretty soon, sometime this year, he'll have his 15th birthday. So, he's a youngin', and we're glad to have him. He's made a big impact.
Again, Smithson Valley, the win over Fulshear. Up next, College Station, the opponent for a trip to the state semifinals on the line. We'll preview that game coming up. You're watching Inside Rangers Football, and we're back in a moment.
2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. All for the Rangers. Stand up and holler!
Ow! No, what's wrong? I really hurt my leg. That's horrible. Wait, Elle's dad sells insurance. Maybe he can help.
I wish he could, but...
My dad has his life insurance with Jeremy Fuller State Farm Insurance.
Yes, but...
My mom has her homeowner's policy with Jeremy Fuller State Farm Insurance also. I know my uncle says he only trusts Jeremy Fuller State Farm with his auto insurance needs.
Guys, wait! We do so many great coverages, but just not cheerleader legs.
Hey, that's okay. It's all better now. Let's start from the top, but with a little change.
2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. All for Jeremy Fuller State Farm Insurance. Stand up and holler!
Yay!
Fisher's Neighborhood Market is the only stop you need before and after game time. Get everything you need, plus a whole lot of things, well, you just want. Fisher's Neighborhood Market. Food, fuel, fun.
Now we'll look ahead to the opponent coming up this Saturday. Smithson Valley playing College Station in Pflugerville. 2 o'clock kickoff from the field in Pflugerville. And of course, everybody this time of year is very good, and the Cougars no exception, coming off a very impressive 52-28 win over Georgetown to punch their ticket to the region finals. Coach, at first glance of this College Station team, what stands out?
Well, just their completeness. They're very, very good on defense, very well coached, have good players at every position. Offensively, very well balanced. They make, like a lot of teams, they make their living running the football, but they throw and catch so well when they want to, and take what's there because people do what they have to do to try to stop the run. Very good in the kicking game. The coaching staff's been together a long time. They've won a state championship. They played for one last year, got beaten overtime in the finals, got a lot of those players back. So, just like you just said, there's only 8 teams left, so there's unfortunately, this is kind of what you get when you get to this point.
So you look back at last week for them, and again, that win over Georgetown, 52 points. So right away you want to look, well, what do they do offensively? And you said it, that they tend to favor the run more than the pass, but they certainly are capable of doing both, and both very well. A lot of capable skill position players on top of that. Aiden Martinez-Brown, though, seems to be the one that gets them going. A sophomore running back, close to 1,800 yards rushing so far this season. Ran for about 140 last week at the win over Georgetown. How paramount will it be to slow down that run game?
Well, we'll have to do it. I mean, if we're gonna have an opportunity to beat them, anytime you play defense, well, what do they do best? And we've got to try to stop that and make them do something else. Doesn't mean they can't do something else. They've obviously very well versed in the other parts of their offense as well. But we'll have to mix our looks a little bit and make them think it's this when it's really that a few times, or that when it's really this. And of course, you can't run off and leave those receivers or those other backs. And the quarterback's very good at throwing the football, and he has good feet. I mean, he moves well when play breaks down. He can extend plays or go run and make some big yards with his legs.
Again, you don't get this far unless you play really well defensively, and right now College Station is doing that. And you look at the numbers for the year: 24 sacks, 13 turnovers forced, a couple of linebackers who have over 100 tackles on the season. As you look at the defense from College Station, what do they like to do?
Well, they're a three-down team. You know, they're a 3-4 team, I guess, to use a popular term that people would understand. They're TNT. Their interior three are big, strong kids who eat up blocks and make a lot of plays. Their linebackers, you mentioned, very good side to side, play laterally very well. Their secondary is impressive. You know, they play a lot of what amounts to man coverage. A couple of those kids are D1 commits, and you know, they're just really good at what they do. And they don't try to be mysterious defensively. I mean, this is how we line up. This is what we play. See if you can do anything about it. So, very tall challenge for our offense, no doubt.
The play of your special teams has been well chronicled throughout the year. Clayton Amaya, tremendous kicker. Kyler Clark, Braden Bafidis, incredible returners. So we know how good your special teams can be. As you've looked at the Cougars of what they do in the kicking game and the return game, how do they measure up?
Well, they're very sound and very good at it. It's evident that they spend time on it. They're very well coached, and you know, much like their offense and defense, there's not going to be a thing we can get them on. You know, the way they're deficient here, the way they cover punts, or the way they return kickoffs. You know, we're just going to have to execute. I mean, we're going to have to do what we do better than they do what they do. I mean, that's the goal, really, in all three phases. Certainly in the kicking game.
Coach, bottom line, what does a game like this come down to in playing an opponent the caliber of a College Station?
Well, you know, you've got to take the best shot early. You know, you can't go in there and get overwhelmed because of the venue, the time of day, the amount of emphasis and attention on the game. You know, the quality of the opponent. Got to play well early and you know, try to put them on their heels, or at the very least brace yourself and turn this in, to use a boxing term, turn it into a 15-round match.
Well, Coach, best of luck this Saturday.
I appreciate it, Brant. Thank you.
Smithson Valley taking on College Station. The Rangers against the Cougars, 2 o'clock from the field in Pflugerville this Saturday. Looking forward to a great game in the region final. Smithson Valley looking to punch its first ticket to the state semis since 2008. For head coach Larry Hill, I'm Ray Freeman. This has been Inside Rangers Football. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you next time.